everybody, this is my completed MotoVox mini bike. Finally finished it after several months. I'll share some tips and ideas on what I went through to put this together. I started out on the MotoVox website and ordered their factory rolling chassis, which is a complete frame with the wheels and the brake and the throttle and everything, just no engine, $199. And after that, I went ahead and ordered the motor plate from HotRodMiniBikes.com. It's a plate that allows you to mount an engine like this to a chassis, and you can move it back and forth, forward and back, and it makes the chain adjustment much easier. And then I also ordered the kit that includes this jack shaft and side plate assembly along with a clutch. And then it does include a cover. What they normally send you is a 15 tooth and a 13 tooth sprocket for the 6.5 horse kit. I found that to have a little bit too much torque for my taste. I had a hard time keeping the front wheel on the ground, so I changed that to a 14 tooth sprocket for this one. And that changed the gear ratio slightly, gives it a little bit more speed, a little easier to control on the takeoff. After that, I went ahead and purchased the Honda 6.5 horse engine, which is quite a bit more expensive than your typical Harbor Freight motor. There is some quality differences. The flywheel on a Honda is much more tolerant, apparently, to high RPMs, so there are some benefits to that. And then I went ahead and ordered the air filter and the header, which is the only way you can install an engine like this in a bike like this. So the gas tank that comes with the engine, the air filter, the muffler, none of that's going to fit. So that's the first thing you're going to want to remove. Then after installing all that, you still need a gas tank, so I went ahead with what's called the taco gas tank, and I mounted it back here in a way that allows these brackets to be used. At least one of the brackets that comes with the kit was handy, and I retrofitted it to this frame, as you can see, and then you can see where the fuel line comes along and goes down to a shut-off valve there. And then I did have to rejet the carburetor. They typically recommend that you end up going up from the number 72 jet that the factory carb has, and I went all the way up to an 88, which is where it is right now. Some people even go all the way to a 90. I found the spark plug to be nice and brown with this jetting in here. So it still has, good throttle response, and I am not running this motor completely wide open. There is a throttle stop on here after the governor is removed that I can adjust to. I've got it at about 85%, so I don't want to wind this motor out to the absolute maximum. It's still plenty fast as it is. Another thing I did with this chassis is I installed a key switch here that'll keep the kids from using the bike when they're not supposed to. So if you get that from Granger, just make sure you order a normally closed contact block for it to work properly to ground out the ignition. So we will be doing a test drive in a little bit here. Some of the other items that I did I had to refabricate the throttle linkage. I just used an old CB antenna, the metal from that, and then I had to cut part of the fender off. I'm now running a synthetic oil. You're also going to want to lube that clutch bushing quite a bit, especially if the engine's idling. And the tires are typically not going to hold a lot of air unless you use this green slime to seal the inside of the tires. As far as the Honda engine itself, I did remove the governor by pulling the side cover off, and there's a plastic gear in there that has to be removed. That's generally a good idea. And then the valve springs are way too weak to handle over 3,600 RPM, so I went with the 15-pound, I believe it's the 15-pound springs. Whatever the upgrade is that they often have you do, so I installed those also. And so just got it running the other day. We'll put the clutch cover back on here, and we'll take it out for a test drive and see how it does.